26, Montana, Shunka. Please note that this creature is real. Whether it was a monster or not is debatable. But a rancher in the 19th century killed and mounted the canid that had tormented the local inhabitants for ages. It is still unknown what the monster actually is, since the owner of the stuffed animal, Shunka, meaning carries off dogs, has refused to allow DNA testing. Shunka was reported by witnesses who got a close look as being practically black, with high shoulders and a back that sloped downhill much like a hyena. 27, Nebraska, Alkali Lake Monster, a 100-foot-long amalgam of an alligator terrifying, a rhino dangerous, and a stench unsavory. The Alkali Lake Monster is sometimes claimed to be a hoax created to sell newspapers, but you can't help but feel the hoaxers got the tone just right. There's no magic involved, just an alligator's combination of fear and danger with a rhino's danger and a stench's unsavory flavor. Whatever it was, it made a huge fuss. The Alkali Lake Monster is supposedly a 100-foot-long brown monster alligator with a rhinoceros horn on its nose. 28, Nevada, Tahoe, Tessie. Legends of Tahoe's Nessie predate those of the Washoe and Paiute tribes, and potentially much further. Some have suggested that Tessie may actually be a plesiosaur rather than a monster, or an enormous eel. The serpent-like monster, according to legend, resided in a cave beneath the lake. The Tahoe Tessie, an 80-foot-long serpent, is still occasionally seen. 29, New Hampshire, Wood Devils of Coos County. Locals are alarmed enough by this enormous hybrid of an evil spirit, a meerkat, and an alien to have proposed a comforting alternative. Perhaps it's just a Sasquatch. However, Wood Devils are more likely to flee at a breakneck speed than to attack passing humans. These sleek wood demons are so effective at fitting in with their surroundings, according to eyewitness accounts, that you might walk right into one. They are described as being over 7 feet tall and covered in grayish hair by many who claim to have seen them. 30, New Jersey, Jersey Devil. Frustrated that she was pregnant once more in the 18th century, a mother swore out that her unborn 13th child would be the Devil of Big Error, despite being born looking like a person. The youngster quickly changed into the midwife slaying, cattle-bothering devil we know and love today. The infant suddenly changed, sprouting a goat head, hoofs, bat-like wings, and a barbed tail. 31, New Mexico Territorns. Here we have yet another dinosaur that defies extinction. The only scary thing about this predator the size of an airliner is that it should have gone extinct 6 million years ago. Territorns, according to eyewitnesses, have wings that extend at least 20 feet. Their huge wings are covered in feathers, and they have pink bald heads on black bodies. 32, New York Chimp. The Champlain Lake creature was known as Tutusca by the Abenaki and Iroquois centuries ago. We can't be certain if the horned serpent that spooks the seas today is the same one that causes boats to sink and cameras to distort. Captain Crum of the ship Bulwagabe seen a black monster that was 187 feet in length in 1819. He claimed that the monster had eyes the color of a peeled onion and a head like a seahorse. Additionally, it had a white star on its forehead and 3 fangs. 33, North Carolina, the beast of blood and Boro. When you consider that the vicious animal also drank the blood of mature horses, an angry cat terrorizing dogs and attacking local wildlife may not seem all that odd. The Blandon Boems Trail went cold in 2003 despite having a lengthy criminal history dating back to the 1950s. Yet villagers continue to keep their dogs indoors at night out of caution. The beast of blood and Boro has been described by locals as being for 1 to feet long, bushy, and looking either like a bear or a panther. According to legend, it mimics a baby wailing. 34, North Dakota Thunderbird. The Thunderbird, maybe a distant relative of the Territorn from New Mexico, has extra special abilities like the capacity to cause storms and fire lightning bolts from its wings. Witnesses describe the Thunderbird as having a lot of yellow and red colors and being quite colorful. It has a broad neck and is said to have a 12-foot wingspan. 35, Ohio, Loveland Frogman. The Frogman within Loveland? That sounds nice. Yes, until you realize it has a magic wand, is as big as a chair, and runs like a man. Harl! A man stopped in 1955 to assist 3 humanoid creatures who were standing by the side of the road, approximately 4 foot tall. Webbed-handed creatures with green, leathery skin were what he saw. They had frog-like faces, and the biggest of them carried a spark-spitting wand above its head. 36, Oklahoma octopus. Even the common octopus that lives in the oceans is obviously an extraterrestrial. Therefore, those who are unsure how a shark-toothed, horse-sized octopus ended up living in Lake Thunderbird, Oolaga, and Tenkler should feel reassured that the Okiatupsisi most likely crash-landed therein its spaceship, since these bodies of water water were created by humans. They cannot use historical legend to explain their mutant population. This freshwater cephalopod is said to be around the size of a horse, with lengthy tentacles and leathery, reddish-brown skin that makes it look like an octopus. 37, Oregon. Colossal clod. One bystander remarked, his head was like a camel's. He had gray, coarse fur. His snout was bent, and he used it to push a 20-pound halibut off our lines and into his mouth. He had glassy eyes. The same witness can therefore be excused for giving up on an attempt to use a boat hook to smack the monster in the face. According to other witnesses, Colossal Clod was 40 feet long, with a large, spherical body, a vicious-looking tail, and a head that resembled a snake. 38, Pennsylvania. The squonk. This miserable creature's special superpower appears to be its capacity to flee captivity by sobbing itself into a pool of water and dripping away. Less X-Files, more Rick and Morty. Witnesses report that the squonk has wart-covered skin that is sagging and ill-fitting. It is crying because it is embarrassed by how it looks. 39, Rhode Island. Vampire Mercy Brown. Locals decided to dig up the graves of Farmer George Brown's relatives in the late 19th century because they kept passing away mysteriously. One of them, young Mercy Brown, was found to be fully preserved. She was buried in the deadliest winter and had barely been dead for 2 months. She was certainly a vampire. 40, South Carolina. Lizard Man of Scape or Swamp. The Lizard Man, who has been there since the 1980s, is straight out of a horror movie. If you try to leave in your car, he'll jump on it. If they are able to shrug him off, survivors might expect to find significant scratch marks on the roof. A green, wet, 7-foot-tall thing has been described as what came out of the lake. It also has 3 fingers, crimson eyes, and scales. 41, South Dakota. Takui, who is frequently seen wearing a coat and top hat and doubtless sneers at comparisons to Bigfoot, whom he otherwise resembles, is not as civilized as he seems. This hairy man, who was seen numerous times during the 1970s, apparently had a thing for tearing the genitalia from nearby cattle. The Takui has usually been seen in open spaces, stalking onlookers with its menacing gaze. Usually, it is pulling a dead animal behind it. 42, Tennessee Wildman. The New York Times reported on February 8, 1889, that he looks as if he might be the twin brother of Barnum's Wild Man, and is furious and undemeaned. One man's effort to talk to the Wildman was met with a flawless shower of stones. It appears that the Wildman prefers the company of women, whom he has occasionally attempted to seduce. According to legend, Tennessee Wildman is either dark gray or dark ginger hair. It has been characterized as stout, between 7 and 9 feet tall, with a pair of claws, a pair of crimson, beady eyes, and an awful stench. 43, Texas. Chupacabra. Although DNA tests have indicated that the assailant has alternately been identified as a dog, coyote, or raccoon, this goat-sucker gained notoriety for leaving a trail of animal corpses in its wake. The chupacabra is a creature with needle-like fangs and no hair. It is supposed to have bat-like wings, huge red eyes, and a series of spines along its back. 44, Utah Bear Lake Monster. In 1868, as a lake monster mania swept Rich County, Joseph C. Rich wrote, "Here is a good opportunity for some company to burst Barnum on a dicker for the monster. If they can only catch one, then fortunately, no one has ever been able to capture the Bear Lake Monster. Thus, any possible winnings are as worthless as the creature itself. One thing is certain, the Bear Lake Monster is enormous and resembles a crocodile a lot. It also has a jaw like an extinct carnivorous aquatic lizard." 45, Vermont. Northfield Pigman. How did Sam Harris fare? There are only 2 explanations for the pigman sightings that occurred immediately after the adolescent went missing on Halloween in 1951. Either young Harris turned into a pigman or an existing pigman ate him. Whatever happened to Sam? Some high school students claim to have seen a monster emerge from the woods years after he vanished. It had a big face and moved like a man, but was coated in white fur. 46, Virginia. Nalaskater. The Nalaskater is still well like 3 centuries after it was first discovered, despite having far more horrifying features than any self-respecting monster actually needs. It even makes an appearance in the Harry Potter universe. Legends of a demonic bird-like creature with a metallic beak packed with teeth were spread by the earliest settlers. Locals claim claimed to have seen a monster that resembled a bird in 1909, describing it as having enormous wings, a long, pointed bill, claws like steel hooks, and an eye in the center of its forehead. 47. Washington? Bigfoot, who may be the only creature in this bestiary to have a comedy of his own, has been a part of Native American folklore for hundreds of years, and he still makes occasional appearances in the woods. Witnesses have reported seeing unusual footprints in the snow that measure 14 inches long by 8 inches wide and had 4 toes. Others have reported seeing a hairy, bipedal creature that resembles an ape and is between 600 and 900 pounds tall and heavy. 48. West Virginia, Mudman. Journalist John Keel arrived in 1960's Point Pleasant to look into Mudman sightings. He soon started receiving messages from the Mudpalip, including one informing him of an impending regional blackout. However, the lights were still on when the time arrived, and a bridge at Point Pleasant fell, killing 46 people. 2 couples reported the first Mudman sightings in 1966. It was described as being between 6 and 7 feet tall, with enormous wings, and having crimson eyes in the middle of its headless body. 49. Wisconsin. The Beast of Bray Road. Early in the 1990s, there were several reported werewolf sightings in the Elkhorn area. However, given that one witness claimed the terrifying creature had arms like a man who had worked out a little bit, it's not surprising that there was little panic. This freak of nature was said to have large arms, grayish-brown hair, fangs, and pointy ears. It can travel either upright or on all fours and had a long nose like a wolf. 50. Wyoming. Jackalope. Folks, we have another genuine one, but even while the exact cause of horned rabbits, those horns or malignant tumors may be scientifically convincing, it still doesn't explain why these horrifying but sorrowful animals appear to be able to sing along with human music. By the way, tenors are the norm. Yes, you read that right. According to cowboys, a distant jackalope joined in on the chorus as they were singing around the campfire.